If you think that you can influence someone just based on fact alone, well, you're in for a surprise. So, how do you be able to get more booking based on your messaging, on your websites, or any other communication? Well, this video is going to show you exactly how to do that. Hi, my name is Era Abraham. I am a person with lived experience with hearing loss. And I also started a startup using artificial intelligence to help people with hearing loss know exactly what's calling for their attention in the immediate environment. And so along the way of starting my company, I've been able to learn a lot about marketing to individuals with hearing loss. And so this is what this channel is all about, to share my findings with you. So when we're persuading, we have to understand that persuasion does not happen by just the content or message that we present to the viewer. Persuasion happens in the mind of the viewer. And there is a theory that was developed by two professors in psychology in Chicago that coined this term called the elaboration likelihood model theory. And basically, what it means is that most of the influencing of individuals happen in their mind. That we have to understand what their thoughts are at the present moment, and that's how we can influence people to make the decision in our favor. Now, how do we go about this? So, these professors have identified two types of individuals when it comes to persuasion. The first is called the high involved individual, and the second one is a low involved individual. So what does this mean in practice? So a high involved individual is somebody who happens to have a lot of knowledge on the subject. They know enough that they are seeking facts on the topic to really help with their decision-making process. So a high involved individual is somebody who is using the rational side of their brain. They are looking at your information and the way that you present it as fact, and they're processing it and absorbing that content in much more detail. Now, somebody with a low involvement would be somebody who's less involved in the messaging, in the copies, and they're mostly looking for things based on the emotional side of things. Somebody with low involvement is not interested in facts. In fact, they are more looking for the emotional appeal of the messages. So, for example, they're seeking some sort of credibility, whether it's credibility of the subject matter expert. It could be the credibility of a celebrity endorsement or some form of award. They're also looking at visuals and content that speaks to the emotional side and pulls an emotional string so that they can be able to help make a decision quickly. So when you know that we have a high involvement use people who are interacting with our content, and we also have low involvement people interacting with the content, how does it really apply when we're looking at it from a hearing care perspective? So interestingly, I think that somebody who is a late deafened adult would be considered more likely to be a low involvement individual. They have lack of experience around hearing care, and they are maybe in a situation where they are learning about hearing aids for the first time, compared to somebody who may have many years of experience, which I would consider as somebody who's highly involved. Somebody who has hearing aids since childhood has enough experience to be able to help them develop the knowledge and expertise around purchasing hearing aids versus somebody who is just starting out. So knowing that somebody who's like a late deafened adult, who is a low involvement, and somebody who has many years of experience with hearing aids and hearing care as somebody who's high involvement, how do we then begin to build copies that would help attract them to book more appointments in your clinic. Here's a few tips that I would do for somebody who's highly involved. The first thing I would do is look into developing really detailed case studies. And these case studies may be, for example, related to specific hearing aid brands that explains the facts about the hearing aid and what it can do and all the features and benefits associated with the hearing aid. But it's being presented in a way that is engaging through a case study of maybe a previous client or patient that you might have had and their journey using a specific hearing aid brand based on the needs. Another thing that you could do is that in your landing page of your website, you want to avoid having this really detailed case study. You may want to put a link to the various case studies that you have on the main page so that they can go and click and read in full detail. The other thing you want to avoid, particularly for high involved individuals, is having any form of pop-up. Pop-ups have a form of distraction, and it can lower your credibility in the eyes of a highly involved individual. So avoid pop-ups, any pages that have more in-depth, detailed articles on your webpage. Now, for somebody who's highly involved, you want to have credibility up front and center in your landing page. And so that means any celebrity endorsement, any awards, anything that shows that you are an authority in the subject, aside from you just saying that you're authority. So use other third party who are endorsing you or giving you the sense of credibility of your work. So that should be up front and center. And that could also be reviews from your previous customers. Now, another thing that a low involvement individuals really like is visuals. So your copies or your website or any kind of content should have a lot of images explaining the outcome that the individual will achieve if they should adopt and work with your business. You might be thinking that highly involved individuals might be the only type of individual doing some kind of search, whether they're searching on Google or searching on various other platforms. Truth is, it's not so much the activity of searching that appeals to highly individual. They actually appeal for both. It's just a matter of what is the keywords that the individuals are using. So for example, a high individual would be searching more specific terminologies in when they're trying to identify or solve a problem. Like for example, and a keyword might be waterproof phonak hearing aids. It's very specific in terms of the brand of the hearing aid and some features that the person is looking for. Now, somebody who's a low involvement may be searching very general terms. So you might start to see them searching terms like hearing aid, the low cost hearing aids. Very broad, doesn't really tell you much. And that's because they don't have the fact or the knowledge about the specific product. So if you can understand and link your keywords to copies that can match to help influence the buyer to book an appointment, you want to make sure that you're aligning your copies accurately for both the highly involved individuals and also the low involved individual. So I hope this information was very helpful. If you certainly want to learn more, please do stay and watch some of my other videos.